was going to ask you a little bit about kind of what you missed your versatility. They ask you to do a lot of different things. Kind of talk about how the season's gone so far, starting the first game at center, then kind of sharing time with Blake, and then you've got to try to learn how to tackle again. Talk about that.
I'm really just trying to do whatever I can for the team. So, like you said, I started off at center because we lost a really good player in Blaze early on. But, once Blaze come back, I was just switching in and out with him, just doing what I can, ready to get him back. I knew eventually I was going to make the switch back to tackle once he was fully healthy. So I wasn't really worried about, how much I was getting in at center or when it was going to happen. I was just really trying to help out the team.
Is that a little bit difficult, though? Because you played really well at center by all accounts, based from hearing Coach Ingram talk in the opener and then, again, what reps you got in the subsequent games. And I guess Blaze, they felt like he'd earned that starting job and that once he was back fully healthy and ready to go, it was going to be his. Is that a tough thing to deal with?
Not really. I know that Blaze is a really good player, so, he's awesome. He's fundamental. He has really good hands. So, I knew that Blaze was probably the right person for center, which is why I said, I wasn't really worried because I knew eventually, I'd have my chance to come back at tackle and, at that point I could prove myself. So, I had some good reps at center, but I was just willing to do whatever I could for the team.
So during the time that you were playing center, sharing time with Blaze after he came back, did you do any reps in practice at tackle or not really?
No. Basically just like last week and then the week before were the first, tackle reps that I ran since, playing my junior year. So, but I still am, pretty familiar with the position because my freshman year I played center, so I was already pretty familiar with center. And then, sophomore, junior year, I played tackle. So I had a pretty good understanding of what I was doing.
Which position do you like better, just out of curiosity?
I don't know. So I got recruited as a center, so I feel like I'm more natural maybe at center. But
did you play in high school?
Yeah, I played center in high school. So
okay.
I don't know. I like center, but, tackle's fun too.
So now you're back at top of the depth chart. It's the first time since your sophomore year. Talk about that. You're a guy that started games as a sophomore, and then last year you didn't see a lot of playing time. It speaks to the competitive nature around here and the fact that just because you did something one year doesn't mean it's automatic that you're in there again. Can you talk about how you've handled that mentally and how you?
Yeah. So my sophomore year, we lost a really good player in Graham Vickers, and I came in and stepped up for the next 7 games, and then Joey Gaston's a wonderful player too. So I knew the whole time Joey and I sophomore year were about neck and neck. So I knew the first time I made a mistake, that was Joey's time to come in. And when he came in, he played really well. So I couldn't really be mad because it was from my own faults. But, I just, kept my head down and kept working. I knew that, eventually when I get my time, I'll do better. And, last year we had Braden and we had Joey. So, I was primarily in a backup position. But I knew that, senior year would come and I'd have my shot again.
So how does that feel? You're back atop the depth chart now?
It feels good. I'm just ready to go out there and prove myself this next week and then, hopefully solidify this spot. So.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Obviously, you've gotten a job the hard way, a tough way with your brother going down, Quazell. Right. First of all, talk about how tough it is to see a guy like that, a senior. He played so amazing in that game, too, against Air Force.
Quazell is a great player. I really look up to him and, see him go down, see how hard he played. He really inspired me, honestly. It's a tough situation, but, this is how our system works. A guy goes down, next guy gets up.
Talk about how difficult it is to be thrust into that position. You went from getting minimal reps. I don't really know how much you played in those first few games behind Quazell. Probably not that much. They don't rotate the secondary guys out as much as some of the other positions. That's not easy to have to be thrust into seeing a lot more reps.
Right, it's definitely not easy. I got to grow up fast. I've had a difficult time adjusting, but, I think I got my feet settled down now. I'm learning the plays better, understanding the whole entire defense. I think I'm going to be all right.
So that the first full game at this Notre Dame out there in that big stadium, how was that nerve-wracking for you, being a young guy, first real, underneath the lights, as they like to say?
Yeah, it was at first. About the first 2 or 3 plays, I was kind of nervous. I was running around, but after that, after about the first series, I'm like, these guys are just like us. They put their cleats on, they put the pants on, the pads on, just like us. They're just guys.
So what is the biggest thing you have to learn? The rover position. It's interesting. It's different from the free safety position.
Right.
Kind of talk about what's the keys about being the rover, what you got to learn, what you got to do well.
So being a rover, you're more backside. You're coming down for run support. So for me, it's key to look at the offensive linemen, see their blocks, tight ends, the wide receivers, see their splits. You know, if they're tight, they're firing out the ball, need to come downhill and fill that gap because there's a missing person there. So that's been the real big thing for me. Besides free safety, you know, you're out in space, you know, you got more leeway to play back. But just definitely coming downhill, full speed, you know, wrapping up, getting the ball carried to the ground.
And not making the wrong read, because Quazell will be the first to tell you, you make the wrong read, you look silly. You're coming up for run support, and the guy's running deep, and there's nobody back there.
Right. Even in the Notre Dame game, I made a few mistakes. You know, I came up when I maybe should have stayed back. But, you know, now I learned that you got to key those keys perfectly, and then you'll be all right.
Has Quazell been helping you try to get up to speed?
Oh, definitely. I mean, just being in this system for 3 years, I've known Quazell. He's helped me every step of the way. You know, and when I need advice, I go talk to Quazell, even Tez. You know, before the game at Notre Dame, I called Quazell that night. You know, we talked for about 30 minutes, and it really made me feel a lot better. Gave me some good advice, some keys, and I think it worked out for the best.
All right, fantastic. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Well, wanted to do something on Daquan Tomas. I mean, obviously this is a big, change for him, going from a backup role, having to play starter reps. Kind of how's he adjusted?
Well, he's done a great job. I mean, he's gotten plenty of reps here, fall camp, and running with the twos early on. And then, it's really our motto almost is next man up here. You got to be ready to play at any point in time in a game. So he's done a great job, and, he's a great athlete. Does a good job with his eyes and reading his keys and reacting. So.
Well, obviously, though, there's be a great learning curve. I mean, Quazell was playing at a very high level, especially in that Air Force game when he went down. Is there a little drop-off? Or, I mean, how do you get Daquan up to speed to where, I know he can't beat Quazell, but how do you get him to where you're not having a drop-off at that position?
I don't think there's really much of a drop-off. Most everybody gets an equal number of reps during the week in practice. So we try to roll our guys, keep them fresh. And, the secondary is a little harder than most positions of rolling guys in a game, just because at that position you really want guys to get a feel for the game and
the speed
and to have an idea of what's going on. So, it's a little harder to roll guys, which is why a lot of times guys don't get a lot of reps in game reps. But he does a great job in practice. He's a smart kid. He understands what's going on, and obviously having a guy like Quazell, he can kind of sit down and teach him some stuff on the side and coach him up. So.
What Daquan said he made a few mistakes against Notre Dame. Obviously, first game, live action. I know he got in at the end of Air Force, but really Notre Dame was his first full go. How would you grade him on his performance against Notre Dame?
I mean, he played really well. He made, two mistakes that, one, they got us on a big play, but other than that, he's been great on the sidelines. We get corrected on the sidelines, and, next time they try to do it, he plays it correctly. So, in those types of games, being your first start and all in South Bend, it's tough. I mean, it's not an easy place to make your first career start, and, against a top 15 opponent at the time. So
you all moved Sean Williams in there to be his backup. Kind of tell me the thoughts behind that decision, because Sean had started at cornerback in the first game. Do you feel he's better suited to safety, or do you just felt like he was the next best defensive back, and therefore you moved him in there?
Well, the thing with Sean is, him and Elijah, like we talked about earlier on, both those guys had great games at Colgate, and, we're just trying to find ways to get those guys on the field faster if we can. So, safety is a little tougher to learn than corner. So with those guys, you try to get them reps now so they can understand what's going on out there and, see if he can learn it. If he can't learn it, then you got to move him back to corner. But he's done a nice job adjusting to it, and, he does a great job in space, playing in the middle of the field. He can stick his foot in the ground and play sideline to sideline, which is nice.
Well, let's talk about the right tackle position. You have not been able to get anyone to solidify in there. You've started when Brandon starts this weekend, it'll be 3 different starters. What's going on there?
We're playing the best guy. We're playing the best guy who's playing the best at the time. And
I was going to say, that best guy seems to be changing.
It changes a lot. I mean, Brandon started as a sophomore, didn't start as a junior. So we've had every time I interview you, or you interview me, I say we're going to get the best 5. Mm-hmm. And I don't care who it is. And freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And right now, Brandon Green's playing the best. He gives us the best chance to win. That being said, that the other tackles will play. We recognize that we've got a nice stretch coming up here in conference play. Tulane has a really, really, really good defensive line. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to have to play some other guys. Robert Lindsay will play, and Andrew Wood will have a chance also.
Copeland started the season, lost the job to Lindsay, took it back last game, and now he's injured. I mean, what was the deal between Copeland and Lindsay? It just was that close that week to week, whoever looked good to you that week was who you gave the nod to?
Yeah, I mean, we're a result-based, you know, and you're graded on everything from when you're underneath the chutes to practice to classroom material, and it's just it's nothing personal. It never is. When we're care about the kid outside of the football arena, but when we're in here, it's binary. It's zeros and ones. I mean, are you getting the job done? If you're not, you're not. If it's neck and neck, it's neck and neck. And you know, we don't. You know, Coach Nehemiah has a saying that we always say around here: people can handle the truth, and we don't have a hidden agenda, and they can see it. They see it. They see it on film. They see it, and they know. So it's nothing. I don't think that if you ask them to a man, I don't think they have a problem with it because everything's on the up and up. There's no hidden agenda in anything. We're going to want the best 5 out there.
Copeland's in a walking boot. How long do you anticipate him being out? It's not done for the year, right?
I have no idea. You
Right.
know, that's above my pay grade. You know, so he needs to get better. He was doing some good things. Feel bad for him, but that's football. Everybody's hurt. You know, so it's just time for the next man to step up.
What led you to go back to Green as opposed to Lindsey, who'd already started games this year, gotten game? Why did you decide to go to Brandon at this point?
Brandon's got a lot of experience. He's played a lot. Robert did not do as well in the game as I had hoped. That being said, I still think he's got a chance to be very, very good down the road. But like I said, you pop on the tape, I mean, you can see there are flaws, there's mistakes. The one thing Robert does well is he comes off the football. We just got to fine-tune the rest of his game, But I'm excited for Brandon. He's come a long way. He's done a lot of good things. He hasn't complained. I think the one thing that you can tell a lot about a kid is, especially he went from a starter to we went to San Jose State and his sophomore year, and I told him this was right after the Toledo game, and I said, Brandon, I'm sorry, brother, but I'm going to start Joey. And he was pretty despondent because he was going back to his home state,
Right.
But I mean, I was hard to do back then, but he was a sophomore, just like Robert was, or is right now. And but that's football, and that part of the thing that stinks being a coach. Sometimes you got to. I'm sure it hurts feelings, and I didn't want to do that, but I want to get a W. So, and Joey came out, and Joey's performed. He's had a very good career since that start. So.
And Brandon obviously has worked his way back, as you may, from that disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
And he's had to play center a little bit, but now it must mean a lot for him to be back in a starting role at right tackle after all the.
I think for him personally, when he looks back, he's going to be able to see that, I didn't have a perfect career, but I was unselfish. I was tough. I stuck it out. And a lot of other people, wouldn't have. They would have gotten frustrated. Brandon's a team guy. And that being said, Joey's playing good right now, but if Joey's play slips,
Right.
I'm not afraid to be the Grim Reaper. So, I will shuffle the lineup any way I can. So that doesn't bother me.
Has Wood gotten in a game meaningful minutes, not mop-up time yet?
I would say this: if you're in a game,
okay,
with the way college football is, you only get 3.5 years to play college football: freshman, sophomore, junior, and half your senior year. Any minute's a meaningful minute. You cannot duplicate. And I don't care if it's the end of a game situation. The reps that you get when you're on a playing field you can't. There's a lot of things that I'm explaining out there that they don't get till they get under the lights. So I'd say any minutes, especially as a freshman, that's pretty significant.
Right.
So
he played against Colgate, I'm sure, and
he's had time here and there. I'm going to play him Saturday. I told him, I said, get ready. Don't let the bright lights burn you. You're going in. So.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.